Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Groundwork's the CKU Podcast. I'm your host, Victor Devora. I'm joined today by the one and only Brian Cano. But before we get on to who is Brian, I'm gonna just want to say a few things. I hope everyone had a great holiday season. I know it is a very busy time. That is actually why I want to apologize for the lack of episodes. I know I usually don't take that much time in between episodes, but I'm back and I'm here and we're locked in. 2026, new year. I'm excited to see what CKU does and what every CKU player does. But enough of that stuff. Brian, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to come on my episodes, on my shows. Um, who are you?
Well, first and foremost, man, thank y'all for having me. I appreciate this. I remember it was a little bit of a, I don't want to do it for a while, but I think it's a very important cause you guys got going on, and being a part of CKU, I think is really cool and really dope, and it's really cool to see how this whole organization has continued to grow. But I'm Brian Cano, uh, born and raised in Bakersfield, California. Kind of back and forth from Mexico to California. Played JUCO out in Santa Clarita, California, College of the Canyons. Then my 2 years there, and then I transferred over to McPherson College out here in Kansas. That was kind of a culture shock, but played my actually 3 years because I ended up redshirting 1 year because I got hurt. And I'm a father, I'm a leader, God fearing man, and I'm a CKU coach. I'm out here.
Awesome. Well, it's funny you bring up the no, I don't want to do this because I do remember like season one. I called you up a couple times. Hey, come on the pod, man. And you're like, nah, I'm all right. Go do someone else. Go. Um, and so I really do appreciate you taking the time to come and just have a conversation, just so people can get to know who you really are.
Right.
This podcast is more or less so people know what is CKU.
Mm.
It's not to reflect, not but to know who really is the people behind the crest.
Mm.
Um, it's more than just a game for me. It's the people, like it's the players. And so when I get the opportunity to interview our coaches, it's a great opportunity for um, because I personally know who you are. You're a great man, great father, great coach, but not everyone knows who you are. And so these pods are important for people to see our coaches and realize that we're just more than the 2 hour babysitters that some people may think we are. So
Yeah.
but we're gonna jump into a few questions that I may have just to see who to dig in a little bit onto your past. But you talked about the beginning
Yeah.
that you were back and forth between Bakersfield and Mexico.
Mm.
Um, I guess not Bakersfield, but just California in general. What was the biggest challenge doing that?
Just adapting, I think that was one of the biggest lessons that I didn't know I was going to face throughout my whole life, but adapting for sure. My parents are immigrants, and so kind of just following their tune, and that to me was probably one of the hardest things. But it served me well. Moving forward, I think that's been a great life skill for sure. Just having to adapt to different settings and different cultures and different worlds. So I would say that was probably the biggest or the hardest part with moving back and forth from just Mexico to California. It's just that.
How did that shape you as a kid? Like, how do you think having to do that big thing? Because you think about in today's generation, or even just here, someone in Kansas, we don't have that, right? We don't have people who go between countries. So how did that shape you as a child?
Man, kind of looking back, I would say it just made me more resilient, more able to deal with hard, right? And that's something that I didn't know was going to be a constant. And so for me, I think that's probably the thing that I would say it taught me is just how to deal with the hard and move forward. And every day is a new day. don't get stuck in the issue you have now. And that as a kid, like not knowing and unconsciously, you kind of, at least for me, you get stuck in that frame of thinking like, oh, look, today was different. And I was in California today. Now I'm out here with my cousins in Mexico playing soccer. And as a kid, you don't really feel it, but kind of thinking back, it really does mold you and make you just be strong and be resilient for sure. So,
So before organized soccer, you just touched on it. You know, street ball. You played
hmm
street ball.
yeah, yeah, all the time.
Um, what did before organized soccer for you? What was your soccer career?
Man, just playing in the streets, bro, in the hood. Mexico, I remember like out there playing with adults, getting kicked and just getting back up, crying, bleeding, playing again, you know. We hear the term that dog, right? So I think playing in the streets really is what made that dog and cultivated that dog as I continue to grow. But man, just playing in the streets, especially in California, LA, Bakersfield, whatever, um, you kind of have to have that dog if you're going to be playing in the streets. So,
So, you know, the big saying is there's some things you can be taught in a structural program, right? Like
mm-hmm.
positioning, organization, movement, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What is something that street soccer taught you? Because I have some past experiences, but I want to hear what street soccer has done. Like, what did street soccer teach you that a structural, organized soccer program didn't?
What did it teach me? I would say a lot of things, but if I can sum it all up into one word, is grit. Not even knowing what grit is, right? But when you playing against this 13-year-old and you're 8, and this kid elbows you in the face and you cry and nobody cares, like you can either stop playing or you know what, cry for a little bit and go out there and play. So I think that's what it taught me, grit, um, amongst other things. But I think that's probably the biggest thing that I can take away. And just thinking back is that, because yeah, you gotta be fierce. You gotta be willing to take a kick. You gotta be willing to try again. You gotta be willing to fight. You gotta be willing to do all these things that kind of break you out of your shell. And I don't think, matter of fact, let me take this back. Organized soccer, I think, can teach you these things in a structured setting, right? But I really do believe that just being out there and playing teaches you a lot about just the game in general and who you are as a person too. So grit, I would say.
And I 100% agree with that. Grit, toughness, mentality, those are things that honestly can't be taught because I just remember just a few things. You got elbowed and no one cared. There's no referees out there in
hmm
street ball. Um, some of the Salina ballers know they go and play at Sunset Park.
hmm
There's no refs out there.
hmm
It's just you guys in the ball.
Yeah.
There ain't no outs. You play hard, right?
Yeah.
And so that really, that's when I asked, like, I want to see what street soccer did for you, and I'm happy that you said great because that's something we can really relate to.
Yeah.
You didn't join a competitive team, right? You talked about how you played street ball. What age did you decide I want to try an organized system?
Well, it's interesting because from a super young age, like I would say like 6, 7, 8. Like I always had the idea, like I want to play, I want to play, I want to play. I would beg my parents, um, but I couldn't just because they worked so much, and so like that was always a factor, kind of having to be on their time. It wasn't until uh, 13 or 12, so I got kind of in the scene a little bit older. Um, Mind you, prior to that, I'm just playing street. I'm just playing street with the homies, this and that, out there, just playing ball. 12, 13 is when I got into my first structured team, and even then, it wasn't club yet. It was more like like a competitive team, right? But it's structured. There's referees, there's teams, there's practices, there's tactics, all these different things that I was new to, and it was kind of hard adjusting to that because you're not used to a referee calling when you slide, or you're not used to just the different movements of everybody. Because a lot of these kids, when I first started, they had already been playing from a young age, and so they understand the technical parts of the game, and that's what I kind of had to learn faster than everybody else because they were already in tune, and so it was kind of a rude awakening. But that's the age that I got into actual structured soccer. Hmm.
Did you feel there's a lot of pressure because, you know, a lot of kids have come up to me, showing up at 15, 16 years old. They're like, we've never played organized soccer and we're nervous. And so, did you feel like there was added pressure because you've never played organized soccer, or did you feel like, this is just something you've always wanted to try and you were willing to give it your all?
You know what? I don't think there was any pressure from like anybody or any specific person. It was just me. Like, just I wanted to do this. I wanted to try it. I've been wanting to do it my whole life. I've been around it my whole life, and when I finally get the chance, I get into the game, and you're not doing the same things you're doing when you playing street. You're not free flowing like how you're used to. And so, after my first game, I remember this. I get out the game, I'm crying because I did horrible. And my dad, he's very old school, and so he pretty much was like, "Man, quit your crying. You suck, and it's up to you if you want to play or not." And so, right there, I think it was another moment uh, that was a test. I think for me, that I could have quit. And I've seen too many kids, at least the ones that were around, sometimes quit, because they get told something a little bit harsh, or sometimes a harsh reality. And I didn't fold. I just wanted to do it because I've always wanted to do it. And I knew I could. I knew I was good. I just needed to learn the rules. And so once I committed, I went all in, training every single day, doing things that 11-year-old probably shouldn't be doing, running sand hills, this and that. But it really helped me develop into really start understanding, like, there's a real grind to this. It's not just a game. It's more than that. So
Mhm. Do you think, the moment that your dad told you you're all in or you're done, do you think that really like shifted your momentum?
I think so. I think with him saying that and hearing it from the person that exposed me to the game, probably was one of those moments that I was like, you know what, I need to go all in. And before that, like, again, like, you're a kid, so you don't really even know what all in is, but you start being groomed into the culture of the grind. And my pops, again, like I told you, he's very old school. He's from Mexico, and he played out there, and he would tell me how hard it is to even make it to these like third division teams, and how talented you had to be. And so he really taught me what the grind was. And so I was very blessed to have a father that taught me that grind from a young age. Even from before that, like, he would train me here and there, but because of the time or whatever, not being able to be on the team. But once he knew and seen that I really wanted to do it, I think he knew it was the time, and him telling me those words really, really made me like just push myself even more. So,
That's good. So let's talk a little bit about high school soccer.
mm.
Tell us about your high school time, man. Because you don't have a huge story, from middle school to high school. So how did that go for you?
Well, high school was cool because it was all like a rollover effect from when I first started. Because I honestly, like, I wouldn't even say fame, but the popularity within the sport in my community kind of came at me super fast. Because once I got into the structured space and I learned and I got decent and I understood and I started training more, I started getting around these guys a lot more. And I remember being a seventh grader and just playing against high school kids and going to these practices, getting put on these teams, getting sponsored. And that's when I'm like, oh, okay, this is real. Fast forward to my freshman year, like I live in a small but big space. It's Bakersfield, so it's kind of like the Salina of California. It's kind of in the middle of everything. It's big, but it's not too big. It's small, but it's not too small. And so word travels super fast. And so I got to my freshman year, and coaches know each other out there, kind of like here. And I was one of those dudes that once I got there, I was I was met with expectations. Like we expect you to come in here and you know bring results. And that was another thing that kind of shocked me, kind of going into the world of high school because I was a freshman. I got put on varsity. I made the squad, but it was a rude awakening because I'm playing against men now. I'm not playing against no regular high school kid that's 4'6" or this or that. I'm playing against real men, future Division 1 players, and I'm 14, 15, with my little small experience. It was a rude awakening, man. I kind of went back and forth from JV to varsity when the coaches kind of seen that little confidence go down. But I always wanted to be there. I wanted to be there. I knew I needed to be there. I knew I deserved to be there. But again, it goes back to that grit. It's like you can either choose to let these people write your story or you just keep going at it. Even when people are telling you, man, shut it down, it's over. I never really listened to these people. I think that's been a cool characteristic that I've always had. Again, going back to my childhood. But I will say that my high school career was not the picture perfect high school career. Like you have a lot of kids that go your 4 years, they play, they have fun, they go on and do big things. I was kind of a knucklehead. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had the talent. I had the people that had these expectations from me, and my grades, man. I would just always drop off with my grades, and I'd be good for a season. I'd play. Next year would come. I'm out here messing around in the streets or doing this and that, not really caring about school. You get sat. And in high school, that's a big thing. You need to have this grade point average, these grades to play. And I guess I just was out there just free ball and everything. Um, I kind of was trying to figure out the pathway. I realized that a lot of the kids that I was around were groomed in a way that their parents kind of knew, like you need to be on point with this and this and that. My parents worked a lot, so I'm not going to sit here and say that I raised myself, but in a way I did, especially academically. Like I had to do a lot of things for myself, and that was the hard part. Um, but for sure, high school taught me that you need to be on point with your grades. It's not just an athlete; it's student athlete. You're not in Mexico where you just ball and that's it. You in the States where it's your academics before the sport. And that's something that I learned in high school. Man, and I really wished academics was my strong suit or I focused a lot more before that because I think things would have been a little bit different. But now I know. And now we get to teach these youngsters what the reality is and what's needed. So that was kind of my high school career in a nutshell. It was good. It was exciting. It was bad. It was everything, but it taught me a lot. So
And and I agree with you just because I think we have some similarities in that backside. I too was a knucklehead, and I think that's why we work well together because I think we've both seen the side of I don't want to say failure, but the wrong path, and we want better for the kids that we work with, and so that's why especially with my high school boys, I'm a lot tougher on them because I know what good players look like, but I also know what great players look like,
mm,
and we're not trying to make good players. We're trying to make great players,
right,
and it starts in the classroom. It starts in the academics. I know there's a lot of like MLS Next teams, some coaches that I've connected with, have told me that those MLS Next teams, they require um, a 3.7 GPA because they're not going to invest their time, their money, their resources if you can't even go to a college.
Yeah.
And so that's why like the big thing. And I know kids hate hearing it, and we sound like broken records, but you need to focus on school. We're not doing it because we want to, right? We're doing it because you have to.
Yeah, it's a
And
package deal, bro. Because I'm telling you, I when I got into the club scene, and again, like I was blessed enough to have, I guess, the talent for these parents to trust me and pay for my stuff. I was around a lot of these kids that were being groomed, and I remember being in these hotel rooms and me being a knucklehead. Hey, what we gonna do? We're gonna go out. We're gonna go, in the lobby or do this and that. Or we're gonna go to the mall. These kids are out here writing essays. It's eighth grade, freshman, sophomore, junior. My whole experience, I remember going because I would travel with these families. I would never go with my own family. That's what they're doing. We're in tournaments, big tournaments. You're talking about Nomads Cup, National Cup, all these big tournaments. We're there. All these prospects that are gonna go Division One, MLS. I'm playing with these dudes. They're doing homework, and I'm just sitting here with my little. It used to be called PSP. I don't know if you know what that is, a PlayStation Portable. Just sitting there playing or listening to music or talking to your friends on social media, and you got these kids over here that their parents are investing. Hey, you gonna do your homework. You're not. Yeah, we brought him, but you gonna wait to get your stuff done, and then you can go and hang out. But I remember seeing that, and that was a different perspective because I'm just sitting there like, why are they making them do homework? Like we're in freaking San Diego, we're in Vegas, we're in Los Angeles, we're in all these beautiful places, and they got to sit there and do homework. But it's interesting because a lot of those kids that I seen do that, they go far, and now I see that in America here, it's a package deal. You gotta have the good grades, and you gotta be consistent in the sport.
wow, no, 100%. And so let's talk about your collegiate career now. So you went and played at a 2 year JUCO.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you came out to Kansas. Let's start with the 2 year JUCO. What was that like?
The dog fight. If you not no dog, I don't think you'll make it in junior college. Any from anywhere, it don't matter where you're from. I think junior college is probably even harder than some Division One programs. I say this because I know Division One players. I talk to these. I mean, they were my teammates, and when I would tell them about our practices and our trial process and how like cutthroat stuff was, they would tell me like, "Hey, bro, we never got to do none of that. Like our practices were very structured because I got to see the difference between a Division One or D2 or NEIA versus a JUCO. Because at JUCO, everyone's trying to make it. Everyone's trying to prove themselves. Everyone's trying to get that bag, that scholarship, and so yeah, there is no friends. There's no friends, and along the way, you do meet some great people. You meet a lot of great players, but it was a dogfight, man. It's a struggle, but it's a beautiful struggle, I would say. Uh, and I would encourage if you don't get no big looks, and if you think you got the talent, go and do it because I think that molded me too into the person I am today. Because I had to leave my home too again to go to junior college in Santa Clarita, California by myself. Um, I went with a couple people, but even then, like as time progressed, they ended up coming back because living by themselves was a little bit hard for them. And so even having to balance that, where you gonna live at, what you gonna eat, who gonna cook for you, is it gonna be you? Having to pick and choose, like, man, I don't got money for this, so I'm gonna figure this out, and I'm gonna probably eat on at this time, So it's just a lot of stuff that go into the junior college world because it's not just sports, it's real life, it's academics, and it's the sport, and you got to be consistent because if you're not consistent, they sit you, and if you sit down, that's another game that you're not gonna get these coaches to come and see you because depending on what JUCO you go to, you got college coaches coming to watch or you have the coaches that you're with have these contacts, and so if you're doing well, they're gonna call these coaches to come and watch the game. And so, yeah, man, if I can sum it up again, it's just cutthroat, dogfight, um, and get ready to grow up. I would say.
So how'd you end up at McPherson?
Well, there was a coach on my junior college staff. Um, I went to college at the Canyons, like I told you. His name was Brooks Walsh. If you're watching, thank you. He had already made connections out here in McPherson. He actually was from that Santa Clarita, Valencia area, and he had came out here to play. And I guess when he came out here to play, they had some success and actually won the whole thing out here. And so he had good connections again with the head coach. And so he had told the coaches about myself and a few other players, and just kind of how we would be a great addition to the McPherson College team. And so at the time too, I had some different offers from different schools. But again, it goes back to the grades. If you don't got them like A's and B's and 3.0 student, 2.9, like they're not giving you that bag. You can come and walk on.
Mm-hmm.
We got schools like Dominguez Hills out there, Division 2, Cal State University Bakersfield, Division 1. Hey, Brian, we think you're talented. You don't got the grades though. You can come walk on and take your chances. But just know, we just signed this like star from England who played at Tottenham Academy and this and that. So it's gonna be up to you. You want to come and battle? And so it's one of those things where you kind of pick and choose your options. And for the kids watching, go to the school that really wants you. Because when you're going to talking to these schools and you're looking on the list of the players that they're recruiting and you're number 18, they don't want you. They're calling you because the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 had already went to bigger schools, and so you're like their 10th option. Go to the schools that really want you. In McPherson College, I remember from my my sophomore year, early on, I was already I was already kind of having those conversations. Nothing serious, but it wasn't until that postseason where Brooks Walsh again hooked it up and went out there to went or came out here to McPherson, Kansas. Kind of seen it. I'm like, man, I got into Wichita. I'm like, oh dang, I can do this. Yeah, is Wichita's a city out here? I fly in. One of the teammates, Jared Robbins, comes and picks me up, and we're driving out the city. I'm like, hey, bro, where we going? Oh no, that's not. This is not McPherson, bro. It's Wichita. I'm like, what? An hour goes by. I'm like, hey, dude, where are we? And so when you're driving, for those of y'all that don't know McPherson, if you're driving in from the south into McPherson, in the distance you see like these lights because I came in at nighttime, and it's like there's these lights and these big old little towers, and I'm like, oh dang, so McPherson is a city. Okay, you get closer, you see like a little refinery thing. Oh, maybe that's just part of the edge of the refinery. Well, you get there and it's a freaking refinery, and that's what I'm seeing. We get into the town. I'm like, I ain't never seen something like this, and it was a culture shock for sure. But man, it was probably the best thing for me in life. I think it really helped me and molded me into the man I am today. Going through that experience, it was really cool. Doug Quinn, if you're watching this, thank you.
Definitely. No, I mean, it's the same conversation I had with Juan. They got out here. They're like, man, what is Kansas? And
Mm-hmm.
so, um, it's hilarious how one sport can really just connect people,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
From all over. You talk about kids being brought in from England, you being brought out here to Bakersfield, from Bakersfield, and so ultimately, what made you stay?
When I got here, a lot of those kids that greeted me, well, they were just like me. They're not from here. At least the program that I got to go into, I'm talking to kids from Wales, from England, from Argentina, from Scotland. Some of my teammates from California, so we're kind of going into this together and seeing that we're all in a similar situation, that we're trying to figure stuff out and we're here. And then I started talking to the team. I'm like, these dudes really like ball. Like, they really are about it. And so once I got to practice with them, my first practice, I was like, I need to be here. Just because how intense it was, how the coach was kind of was moving things, and I thought it was really cool. And I really did think it was a step up in level because at my JUCO it was similar, but once you get here, it's like a notch, a notch up of what you're used to. So I think that was the first thing that made me stay here was the soccer, that how invested they were and how serious they were about the game. And I was like, okay, I need to be here. I don't care if it's X amount of miles from where I'm from. It's probably the best thing that happened to me, like I told you, because I'm away from all the BS that I'm used to. And it really, as soon as I'm again after that practice, I'm like, this is a place I can focus on this. And that was the mindset of when I made my decision, was the seriousness, because I didn't know Kansas even played soccer. Like, so when I'm coming here and seeing a lot of these kids coming from outside areas, and you're from England, you're in Kansas, what you doing here, bro? You should be in an academy. But that's really what made my decision, the seriousness of it, at least for the program I was blessed to go and play for.
So we're gonna shift focus now. What got you to CKU?
You, well, you and Juan and Sergio and all you guys. Realistically, I didn't know anybody here in Salina. Um, After I had graduated, I left back to California, and that's really where I began my coaching career. I would say it's kind of weird saying that, but coaching, I went back to go coach in my old high school. Um, my girlfriend at the time, who was now my wife, wanted to come back, and so we came back to Kansas, and we decided to come to Salina because I just wanted a little bit more of a city feel. And I was trying to get into the coaching scene just because my firstborn was here already, and I knew I was going to be a part of that. Um, and so I remember at the time it was David Otterkirk when I first got here, reaching out to him, and I think it was at the time where things were still kind of shaky. And so unfortunately, like, I wasn't able to coach here when I first got here off the bat. I then found an opportunity down in Wichita, and I coached down there for a little bit, and it was just kind of inconvenient having to drive down there. And but then again, through the local leagues here, through the initiatives that you guys have been pushing for a while now, I'm playing in this random league because I'm one of these dudes that if I see people playing soccer, I'm gonna go, hey, can I play? Or how do I get on the team? Whatever. I'm playing, and I'm playing against Juan Maldonado, and I know a dog when I see one, right? And I think it was mutual. And we're playing, and he's talking his stuff, and I'm talking my stuff, and it is what we're going at each other. He's asking me on the field, "Hey, bro, where are you from? I know you're not from here. Like, where?" And I'm talking to him, and that was really the initial conversation that kind of set things off. And then through there, we met through another mutual friend. Her name is Cynthia. I think she's like a K-Dub legend. I forget her name.
K-Dub legend.
K-Dub legend. And she holds a record, right, for scoring goals. We met through her because I knew her through a job. And she's like, hey, my homie needs some players for a Sunday league team. Do you want to play? And I was like, well, yeah, give him my contact. Let me know. She put us in contact, and it was Solis at the time, if you know who Solis is. And I met Juan out there, kind of hit it off. I didn't know he was from Cali, and I didn't know he lived in Salina. And so after that relationship kind of grew, and I just kind of tagged along when he would say that he had a team here. I would just come and watch and observe, and I met you through that whole process. and just kind of tagging along and seeing what you guys were doing. I thought it was really cool, and being along for the process of you guys building it was one of those things that really inspired me, because I had never been around an organization that was in these stages, and just seeing it firsthand how much passion y'all had for it, I think was really dope. And that's one of the things that I really believe drew me to y'all, how serious y'all took this. Having these conversations with you guys when it was foot four at the time. And I'm like, man, you guys really have some big visions. I was kind of scared at the time because I'm like, man, you guys serious? Like, because I just thought you guys were just conversating, but you guys were serious. And so seeing these things develop, I mean, I would always talk to my wife. I'm like, how can I not be a part of this? Like, especially if they're, opening the door for me, I'm gonna do whatever I can to be an asset to these guys. So that's really what brought me to CKU. Talking to you, talking to Juan, Sergio.
So I love that you brought that up, because I still remember the first day that you came to our practice, and I kind of pulled Juan to the side. I was like, "Hey, bro, who the heck is that?"
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you're just standing over there. That's my homie Brian. Like, he's gonna help us out. And then I went and like introduced myself to you, and you're like, nah, I'm just here to watch. And so I was really confused because I like went back to Juan. I was like, bro, you just said this dude's gonna help us, and this dude just told me he's just here to watch. And Juan's like, he's nervous, and I just remember like, not that I was mad, but I was like, what's going on? Like, is he gonna help us, or is he? Because like you did not want to straight up tell me you were here to help. You just kept like beating around the bush, like I'm just here. And so, eventually, you did like, yeah, I'm here to help you guys, and you became part of the team, right? Because it was four of us. Because at the time, we had, was it 4 high school boys teams?
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Like
And
a
so
first tier, second tier. It was a lot.
it was a lot. But it all came out to it because right next to you is something that's really important to that season. It's that Champions Cup trophy.
Mm-hmm.
That was your first season with us, back in 2023, and that's the first trophy you brought back with this group of kids. And so I have this trophy just because it reminds me a lot of the first initiatives that we took, as not just as CKU, but as Foot Four, as the other teams that we were. But it just reminds me of like the good times that we had when we first started. And so I love that. No, I tell people to this day, like, when Brian showed up, I didn't know what to think of him, but I'm so happy because not only that, but then my mother-in-law had told me about you. She's like, "Hey, do you know Brian Cano?" And I said, "I know Brian, I just don't know him." And she's like, "Well, he works at Caps, and he's great with the kids, and he really wants to get into coaching." I was like, "Well, he shows up, but he just never tells us like, I'm here to work." He just kind of shows up, and she's like, "Well," and so it was one of those things. Like, I am super grateful you came, and although that like first few times I was like, "Well, is he gonna help us, or is he just gonna stand there?" And so I'm super grateful we were able to get you locked down and get you here for the long run. Um, I now work with you with the first and second grade and the pre-K as your assistant, and truly it's been so fun, um, watching you work with those kids, watching you work and help develop them. You're teaching them a bunch of skills, and how you communicate with them. It really shows that you care, not just about soccer, but about the youth. Um, Even on the pre-K side, it's fun to watch you out there. And so I'm super happy that you were able to go to that random 7v7 game, meet Juan, because I really don't know where CKU would be without you, because you are a truly big asset to us, a consistent one. So we really thank you here at the bottom of my heart.
You gonna make me cry, Vic. Nah,
no
I appreciate you. Nah, for real. Truth be told, I was nervous when I first kind of got around y'all, because I seen the relationship that you guys had built with the players who are now like on to the next level. And that's something that you don't just come in and mess with, in my opinion, because there's a level of trust as a player, and kind of being now in the role of a player coach is like you do have to understand that there's these boundaries as a newbie that you can't just come and cross. And so that was why I was so hesitant at first, but I'm glad that things kind of worked out the way they worked out. And like even that tournament, just I was just kind of there, like I would talk to the team, I had my little moments and stuff, but like again, it's me being able to observe you guys in your element. And like I've learned a lot from my coaches from back home, like really, really understanding the coaching piece, watching it close to y'all, is what has helped me become this person now. I don't think I would have had the confidence to be a CKU coach for the youth if it wasn't being around y'all and how you guys have taught these older kids. And so I thank y'all for allowing me this opportunity. I know I've always been like, oh man, I don't know. I got this and that. And we all got responsibilities. But I think this, what we're doing is bigger than us at this point. Just the way I see the community interact with it, just the way I see even when you got this crest on, you walk around, sometimes people stop me. And it's a funny story. I went to the YMCA in town, and I believe his name is Chris Lecheca. I think he's like the head of the YMCA. I'm not too sure, but I'm sitting there about to pay for my day pass, and I had my vest on. I had my CKU crest, and he's looking at me. I'm like, hey, am I not allowed here or something? And so he's looking at me. He's looking at me. I'm kind of getting awkwarded out. I'm like, are you going to say something, dude? And so he walks over. He's like, hey, man, you here? You in town for the holidays? I'm like, nah, man, I live here. He's like, CKU, you coach here? I'm like, yeah, I coach here. Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. And then another guy's like, what's CKU? And this is and that. And I'm explaining to him all the levels that we have. And he's like, man, really? I'm like, yeah, Salina is really, it's back. It's rejuvenated. At least from what I've understood back in the day to what it is now, we're getting to a space that soccer is live and it's alive and it's well on its way to becoming a staple here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of CKU.
Yeah, no. And I think I had a conversation today with some people and just talking about the importance of soccer in Salina is huge. Um, and I think we have some big dreams. Um, I told my wife, she married a dreamer. Um, and because there's some days that I tell her what I want to do with CKU or with other stuff, and she's like, "Well, we gotta take it slow," and I'm like, "No, we gotta pedal to the metal." Yeah. And that's why I think Juan and I work together so well.
Oh yeah.
And and I know, like you said it earlier, it's scary because some of the conversations we have, you're like, "Oh wow, okay."
yeah.
Like the gala, I'm gonna just talk about the gala real quick. It was literally a Saturday night, Friday night conversation that we had, and then Monday morning we're having meetings about it. Like, let's get it done.
Yeah.
And sometimes, Juan has to push the brakes with me a little bit, and then I have to push the brakes with him, and so it's one of those things that we need more people like us, and that's why you mix well with us. Because although at first you were like a little intimidated, you eventually turned into us, because there's times you and I have conversations and I'm like, all right, let's slow down real quick. Yeah. And then vice versa. Sometimes I bring something, you're like, hold on, let's think about this. And so that's why I think you mixed in very well, because you are like us. You're a dreamer. You see what we want. You see the goals. You see the obstacles, and you're not afraid to go through them with us. So, like I said, we really do appreciate you having you on this team. But I really don't want to take up much more of your time. Thank you again for coming. One thing I do with all of my guests is I like to give them the last minute or two to just give that CKU player that may be watching this episode just one last piece of advice. Something that if 9-year-old Brian Cano was sitting in this chair or sitting on that other side of the screen, that you want him to hear.
That's real. Man, what am I going to say to these kids out here, man? Work. Put your head down and work. People are going to talk. Coaches are going to deny you. That don't matter. You just got to keep going. The only person you got to prove it to is yourself. All this don't really do much. It's your feet, it's your head, you know. If you can get your mindset right, if you can get your grind right, this game is going to bless you. It's going to test you, but it's going to bless you. Don't be afraid of any hard moments. The biggest thing, again, is just work, because sometimes you're going to feel like giving up. You're going to run into walls. You're going to get hurt. Those are just tests. No pressure. You got to keep going. And the last thing I will say, please, 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 this goes to the girls and to the boys. Forget about the girlfriends. Forget about the boyfriends. There's going to be a time for that when you get older. But if you really dream of being a professional footballer, a Division I footballer, NAIA footballer, whatever level, if that's really your dream and it's really your passion, make it your priority to the game be the main thing. Because if you let other things around distract you, it's hard to keep it the main thing. So keep the main thing the main thing. And the last thing I want to say to y'all, soccer in Salina will be successful, not just because of CKU, but because of the people that have the keys. And so I want to tell you in your face and give you your flowers right here, right now, in your space. You've done a great job. You're young, but you got experience. You got fire. You, Sergio, Juan, I couldn't have imagined anybody else to lead this initiative other than you guys. You guys are the perfect mix. I'm just humbled to be a part of this process, and thank y'all.
Don't forget to add yourself in there, man. I said it, and I'll say this to anyone. You are part of this team. Every coach, we're more than just like I said, the 10-minute babysitters, the 2-hour babysitters, whatever some people think soccer coaches are. We're more than that. We're people, and we have stories to share, and that's why I bring this podcast out, because it's the groundwork that we had to do to be who we are. And so, thank you again, Brian, for taking the time. Thank you, seriously.
Appreciate y'all, man.
Before we go, a couple things. Gala, CKU Gala, Night of the Champions, January 31st. Brian, you going?
I'm gonna be there. Y'all gonna be there?
You better be there.
Y'all better be there.
Link in the description for tickets. It's gonna be fun. We have a few things that we have secured. Should I give them a little teaser?
Go ahead, bro.
One of our auction items that I've been so grateful, and it's been a long process to get, but we got it. We have a signed Patrick Mahomes helmet that will be auctioning off that day. We have a few other things. We have a sick cabin up in the Mammoth Mountains back in your home state.
It's so beautiful there. So beautiful.
You know, we have a couple nights stay in that cabin that we'll be auctioning off. There's a few packages that our beautiful team has put together. And so we have a lot of things that we're working on, and we really, really would love to see every single one of you. Again, all of this goes back to the cause, right? The big cause that it's more than a club. I'm gonna steal that saying for a little bit. It's more than just games. It's more than whatever. It's an organization that cares about the kids, and so truly, that's why we do it. And so, again, we have some big things. Big Patrick Mahomes helmet signed by it's verified. The Mammoth Mountains stay. And then a few things that I don't want to just give out. I gave the big ones away because I want people to be prepared. So, thank you guys very much. It's very formal. Again, I'll have links in the description. So, I'll see everybody on January 31st, and I'll see you guys next week for another episode of Groundwork, CKU Podcast.
Yes, sir.
Thank you guys.